Have you ever walked into a room and felt like every pair of eyes was locked on you? Like you were on a stage, and one wrong move would ruin your reputation forever? Here is the brutal, liberating truth that Marcus Aurelius discovered 2,000 years ago. Nobody cares. And honestly, that is the best news you will hear all day. Welcome to INVICTUS X. We live in an era where we are trained to perform. We treat our lives like a reality TV show, constantly checking the ratings, our likes, our views, our comments. But here is the reality check. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man on earth, didn't write his meditations to be seen. He wrote them to stay aligned. He understood a fundamental truth. The sooner you stop expecting others to applaud you, the sooner you start saving yourself. You see, most of us are trapped in what psychologists call the spotlight effect. We think the world is a massive audience waiting for us to trip up. But Stoicism cuts through this noise with a blade of clarity. The truth isn't cruelty, it's freedom. People aren't staring at you. They are too busy staring at themselves. Let's look at Pillar 1. No one is watching as closely as you think. Imagine a world like the Black Mirror episode Nosedive, where every interaction is rated, and your survival depends on a 5-star score. That is the mental prison most people live in today. They are enslaved by the opinion of strangers. But as the Stoics teach, being ignored is not an insult. It is an opportunity. Think about the last time you went to the gym. You were terrified to try a new machine because you thought, everyone will laugh if I fail. But look around. The guy in the corner? He's worried about his own biceps. The girl on the treadmill? She's stressing about her work emails. We often fear being ignored or rejected. But ancient philosophy teaches us that true happiness lies in detaching ourselves from the need for approval. In fact, being ignored can be the ultimate freedom because it allows you to act without the burden of performance. You don't owe the world a show. When you realize no one is watching, you can stop performing and start building. The work you do in the dark, when there is no applause, no camera, no validation, that is the only work that actually builds character. Let me tell you a story about two young architects, Thomas and Julian. Julian was brilliant, but he was a performer. He wouldn't sketch a single line unless he could post it on social media. He needed immediate feedback. If his initial draft didn't get praise from his boss, he would spiral into anxiety. He spent 80% of his energy managing his image and only 20% doing the work. Then there was Thomas. Thomas was a builder. He understood Pillar 2. Entitlement destroys growth. Thomas knew the world owed him nothing. Not a promotion, not a compliment, not even a good job. When his designs were criticized, he didn't take it personally. He took it as data. One day, a massive recession hit. The firm had to lay people off. Julian crumbled. He spent weeks complaining about how unfair the world was, waiting for someone to save him, paralyzed by the lack of external validation. Thomas? He didn't wait. He used the silence. He spent those quiet months mastering a new design software that no one else knew. He didn't post about it. He just did the reps. 6 months later, when the market turned, Thomas didn't just get his job back. He started his own firm. Why did Thomas win? Because while Julian was waiting for an audience, Thomas was building a foundation. Everything you build from zero means more. As Rick Rubin, the legendary producer, suggests, we must reconnect with the love of the craft itself, not the outcome. The creative act is about the process, not the applause. When you remove the ego, you remove the fear. This brings us to Pillar 3. Own the one thing you truly control. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control if your crush texts you back. You cannot control if your boss is in a bad mood. But you can control your mind. Epictetus said, "Don't wish for things to happen as you want. Wish for them to happen as they do, and you'll live in peace." Modern society trains us to defend everything except our minds. We put passwords on our phones, locks on our doors, and security systems in our houses. But we let any random negative comment on the internet walk right into our brain and set up camp. We let the news hijack our focus. We let other people's moods dictate our emotions. Discipline is actually a form of freedom. When you have the discipline to control your reaction, you are no longer dependent on others' validation for your sense of worth. Ownership means treating your attention like a weapon. You point it where you want it to go, not where the noise tells you to look. If your mind is weak, your life collapses under pressure. If your mind is trained, you become unshakable. So, how do we apply this? Here are 3 tools to start using today. 1. The 10-second pause. Before you react to an insult, a bad driver, or a stressful email, stop. Count to 10. It sounds simple, but in that pause, you regain your sovereignty. You choose to respond with reason, not reflex. 2. The Hour of Solitude. Block out 1 hour every day. No phone, no music, no podcasts, just you. If you cannot sit alone with your own thoughts, you are a slave to distraction. The person who can be happy alone is powerful in a crowd. 3. The no comparison diet. Comparison kills direction. When you look at someone else's highlight reel, you destroy your own progress. Stop looking sideways, look forward. Track your lifts, your income, your happiness. That is the only scoreboard that matters. The world isn't watching you, my friend. And that is your permission slip to be great. You don't need applause to be disciplined. You don't need recognition to be powerful. And you certainly don't need anyone's permission to begin. Ask yourself today, what did I become? Not what did I get, but what did I become? Stronger? Wiser? More resilient? If you are ready to stop performing and start building, this is your home. Subscribe to INVICTUS X. We don't deal in motivation here. We deal in discipline. I want you to make a commitment right now. Go to the comments and write, "I take full ownership." Let that be the first brick in the foundation of the new you. The world may not be watching, but you are. And that is more than enough.